Okay, let's unpack this. Today on the deep dive, we're taking a look at endings, specifically how the really painful ones can, well, sometimes turn into powerful new beginnings.
Right, that unexpected transformation.
Exactly. We're going to explore that quiet shift that can happen after heartbreak, the one that leads to some pretty profound self-discovery.
And our way into this is Rithvik Singh's book, Thank You for Leaving.
That's the one. It's got a solid 4 out of 5 stars, and you can really see why when you read it. It's not, your standard romance fare.
Not at all. It's much more of a deep, sort of introspective look at love, loss, healing, resilience, really.
What grabbed me right away is how it flips the script on heartbreak. Usually it's portrayed as just the end, broken, final. But Singh presents it as, well, maybe a painful blessing, like a blessing in disguise. The protagonist definitely struggles, with the loss, the confusion, all that raw feeling.
Of course. That's got to be there.
But then, page by page, you see this subtle evolution, this learning to see the emptiness left behind, not just as a void, but as, well, potential space for growth.
And what's fascinating here, I think, is how Singh deliberately keeps the focus internal. It's all about that inner monologue, Yeah. The heart trying to find meaning again after it's been broken.
Right.
You're not getting big dramatic scenes or reunions. It feels more like confessional poetry almost, but strung together with this really graceful narrative thread.
Yeah, confessional poetry is a good way to put it. Very personal.
It's an internal journey. That's the core strength of it.
And that internal focus leads right into the main themes, doesn't it? Like, the big message isn't just that heartbreak transforms you, but how it acts as this catalyst.
Exactly. And Singh doesn't romanticize the pain, which is crucial.
No, he definitely doesn't.
He acknowledges it, lets you sit with it, but then shows how that process itself teaches you these really valuable things about yourself, things you maybe didn't expect to learn.
Yeah, and that reflection brings up so much about self-love, about acceptance.
Absolutely. Radical acceptance, almost. As the story unfolds, it really guides you towards understanding your own needs, your flaws, your hopes, but without blaming the other person.
Right. The focus shifts.
Completely shifts. It becomes about healing yourself, building yourself back up from the inside. It's incredibly empowering, I find.
And it brings in this really powerful idea, which feels a bit counterintuitive sometimes, closure without contact.
Oh, yeah. That's huge.
The book makes a strong case that real peace doesn't always have to come from the one who left. Sometimes, it's just an internal decision. You choose to move on, even without all the answers.
If we kind of zoom out from the book for a second, that idea of internal closure, it has massive implications for how we handle any kind of loss, not just breakups.
That's a great point.
It frees you, doesn't it? From waiting for someone else to give you permission to heal. It puts the power back in your hands. You decide when the chapter's closed.
It's empowering yourself to move on.
Totally. Giving yourself that permission.
And that whole introspective vibe really sets the tone for the entire book. It's raw. Sometimes it's quite melancholic.
Definitely melancholic at times.
But also philosophical.
Yeah.
And always just deeply, deeply personal. You feel like you're right there inside someone's head.
And the writing style just amplifies that feeling, doesn't it? Rithvik Singh's writing is, well, it's poetic, very honest, almost lyrical sometimes.
Yeah, lyrical is a good word.
The prose is pretty minimalist, actually, but it's packed with emotion. You find these lines that just stick with you, these reflective bits that feel like they're straight out of a diary. And he uses silence really effectively, too. The gaps between words. They sometimes say as much as the words themselves. It invites your own thoughts in.
And his metaphors, the way he uses imagery is so striking. Like comparing heartbreak to a storm that clears the sky for sunlight.
Right, which could sound cliche.
Exactly, could easily be cliche, but somehow, through the sheer honesty, maybe the timing, he makes it feel fresh, visceral almost.
That sincerity, that honesty, that's definitely one of its biggest strengths. I think anyone who's been through any kind of loss will see themselves in it. It's relatable, uncomfortably so sometimes.
Absolutely. And even though it deals with heavy stuff, it manages this great balance between being simple to read, but also really deep.
Yeah, accessible but meaningful.
Singh really knows how to pack a punch with just a few words.
And compared to other stories about heartbreak that maybe get stuck in the sadness, this one feels different. It offers a genuinely healing perspective. It doesn't just wallow. It actually kind of lifts you up, guides you toward making peace with things. It's about moving through the pain, not just sitting in it.
Okay, so for a balanced deep dive, we should also touch on where it might not click for everyone. Some readers do mention that parts can feel a little repetitive emotionally.
I've seen that critique.
And while, that looping thought pattern is very real during heartbreak,
It totally is.
that repetition could maybe slow down the pacing for some readers.
That's fair. And, it raises an interesting question, doesn't it? Is that repetition, maybe? Intentional? A stylistic choice?
What do you mean?
Well, maybe it's meant to immerse you in that very cycle of grief, that looping introspection. For a book focused so much on the internal, maybe mirroring those thoughts is part of creating that authentic feeling, even if it messes with traditional pacing a bit.
Huh. That's an interesting take. Like, it's part of the experience he's trying to convey.
Possibly. It's a different kind of immersion.
Okay. Another thing people sometimes mention is the lack of a really concrete plot. If you're looking for, external drama or a superstructured story.
Yeah, this might feel a bit too abstract.
Too introspective, maybe.
Yeah.
And because it's so focused inward, the other characters don't get a lot of development. It's very much one person's journey.
True, it's laser focused.
So thinking about all that, who is this book really for? Here's where it gets really interesting. If you're maybe looking for a different kind of comfort, a different way through difficult times.
Right.
If you liked books like, say, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, or maybe the poetry style of Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur, you'll probably connect with Singh's approach.
Yeah, there's overlap there. But it's broader, too, I think. It's definitely for anyone going through a breakup, obviously. But also maybe any big life change, or just anyone who's interested in emotional healing, that kind of poetic writing, and exploring mental wellness through reflection. It offers something fresh.
So wrapping up, thank you for leaving. Leaving isn't just another love story. It's really, at its core, a self-love story.
Yes, beautifully put.
It drives home that idea that sometimes the goodbyes that hurt the most are actually, thank you notes in disguise. They point you back toward yourself.
Absolutely. Through that lens of heartbreak, Singh gives you this, it almost feels like a map back to yourself. A reminder that healing, it's not straight line.
Definitely not linear.
No way. But it is possible, and often there's a strange kind of beauty in it.
And that quote near the end just stays with you, doesn't it? You didn't stay, but you helped me stay with myself. And for that, thank you.
Powerful.
It really lingers. It's a heartfelt read, one that might just change how you look back at your own experiences.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean for you listening? Maybe think about this. What endings in your own life, not just romance, but any big shift or loss, could you maybe reframe?
That's a good question to sit with.
Yeah. How might choosing to find that closure without contact actually empower you, allow you to focus on finding that map back to the self, and maybe even finding gratitude in those tough goodbyes, something to mull over?